Okay guys, this has been a long time coming. My BRZ today is finally getting its turbo kit. I've owned this car for 10 years now. Well, come August, it'll be 10 years. I put well over 100,000 miles on it. I believe it's at 106,000 miles currently. It is due for an oil change anyway, so what better time to install a turbo kit than when you're ready for an oil change. That's what we're going to be doing, but we're not only going to be just installing the turbo kit. This isn't going to be like every other turbo BRZ install. And the reason for that is because I'm also tuning my own car on ECU Tech. I have the DIY Tune It Yourself suite from ECU Tech. I went and purchased it through ECU Tech tuner. Basically, you have your master tuners that are able to sell you packages from ECU Tech, and that's what I purchased. I have already installed a 3-bar map sensor into the car, which I've been driving around on probably for the last 2 weeks or so, and it's been doing pretty good. It does need a few tweaks, mainly at light throttle, low RPM. But what I'm really curious to see is what happens after the turbo kit gets installed and how easily it transitions over based on my own setup that I have put into the car. It should be ready to bolt in and just drive. If you guys haven't already, make sure you're subscribed. And if you get any kind of enjoyment out of this video, please smash the like button for me. Help me out. We're trying to grow this channel this year. I'm really doubling down on content. So I got a lot of big stuff coming. We got the 1000 horsepower 300ZX build. We're kind of doing like a retro modern theme on the Supra build. It's a 7M, it's not a JZ, so it's something different from what you would see from a lot of other channels. So if you haven't watched the previous video, I went over in detail everything pretty much that's going into this build. So if you would like to find out, or if you have any questions on what is going on with this build, what is going into the kit that I have pretty much set up, because I did a lot of it piece by piece. I did a lot of it on my own. I didn't buy one complete kit. I bought a lot of parts secondhand, and the turbo on my own with my own choice of turbo. Man, I'm a little nervous about this, I'm not gonna lie. It's been a long time coming for this car, and man, I can't believe it's finally happening. I'm excited, but I'm nervous. It's an excited nervous, I think. But let's go ahead and pull this thing in here and let's get started on it. Okay guys, this is it. This is the final time this car will be pretty much 100% stock. Man, this is a hell of a journey with this car. I'm excited. I'm really excited. This is the first major modification I can say I've done to the car. Like, I can officially say it's no longer a stock BRZ, although I still want it to be reliable. So basically what we're gonna do is I'm gonna install the kit, but I'm doing it with good quality parts. That way I don't have any issues as a daily driver, and the thing should not have any problems. Obviously the intake should go, however, we will need the map sensor. So I'm gonna put this over here. No going back now. Okay, so eventually I'm gonna have to pull the front bumper off, but at this point in time, I'm gonna start on the exhaust. And well, the reason for that is if I need it welded, the sooner I get all of that set up, the better. And start fitting the new turbo manifold onto the exhaust. Hopefully, everything should bolt right up and come right off without a problem. We'll see what happens though. Alrighty. Gotta be very careful here because everything's ready to fall off. Victory header weighs a ton. Holy crap. Ah. Okay, so for the oil drain on the oil pan, we actually have two -10 AN bungs welded onto the factory oil pan. This came off my buddy's car. He said he no longer needed it, so I'm using it on my turbo kit, and it was nice to have a spare pan to weld onto. However, why two -10 bungs, you ask? Because this guy told his buddy to go ahead and weld the bung on the wrong side to begin with.
I'm an idiot!
So here we go, we got two of them. However, what I'm gonna be doing is just running a -1090 off the one side, and then for the other side, we're just gonna be capping it with a -10 cap, because I'm an idiot. Okay, so now that the oil's done draining, let's go ahead and remove that oil pan. Okay, so I don't know how that happened, but somehow most of the RTV actually came off with the oil pan, which is freaking awesome. Okay, after a short detour, I actually pulled the old oil pan off, and I forgot I needed these little guys right here. These are the drain back O-rings, I guess you could say, washers, whatever you want to call them. They basically go right on these guys right here. Apparently, you need to replace them because they are rubber and they do degrade over time, and these are like 10 years old on my car, so I'm definitely replacing them. And if you need the part number to this, there you go. Okay, so we're pretty much at ground zero right now. I got the new oil pan up in there with the weld-on bungs. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna end up taking off the front bumper so I can clearance the fan. I actually marked it a little bit right here. This all in here is going to have to get either ground away or cut away. I'm gonna put some heat shielding over top of this fan because the exhaust manifold comes up and sits right here. So what I gotta do is I gotta get down in here with a grinder. I'm also gonna remove this because I'll probably have to clearance this little area right here. I also wanna remove this so I can fit my intake up in there, and we're gonna have to pull the bumper anyway. So let's get to removing the front bumper on this thing and get fitting some of the charge piping so we can clearance just more of that stuff. Alrighty, there we go. Woohoo! Okay, so the exhaust manifold is now in. I know what you're thinking because you're probably saying, Billy, those fans are going to melt. And you're probably right, they will. Don't worry, I'll probably come back and replace them. But for now, For my own testing purposes, I want to try out using this heat shielding from DEI. Kind of hard to see, but I have it wrapped over the fan motor right here. Now I only have the top part of it wrapped where the flange is for the turbo, and that is so it can at least dissipate some heat. Granted, I'm sure it'll do a fine job because it is a fan. However, I'm sure at some point that fan is probably going to stop working because of all the heat from the turbo. With that said, let's go ahead and get the turbo mounted in here. I gotta get the wastegate mounted up, and then I can start working on the downpipe and front pipe, which is ultimately what I wanna get set up today. That way I can at least probably get it welded up throughout the week while I'm at work. Okay, so we got my Pulsar 38mm wastegate here. I am going to actually have to swap out the wastegate spring because we've got a 3, 5, 7, and a 10 PSI wastegate spring. This will obviously set the base pressure, and I am going to shoot for a 7 PSI spring. That way I can run a max of about 14 to 15 PSI with an electronic boost controller. Okay. Shoo. Apparently these come with a 14-pound spring off the rip. So with that said, we are dropping to a 7-pound spring? 7-pound spring. That should be good. Okay, so the wastegate is now in. All of the piping's all set. I did have to move the nipple right here just a little bit. We're now gonna start putting on the turbo. I gotta put the drain flange on the turbo for the oiling. I'm gonna worry about all the hoses, probably a later date, like tomorrow. But I am going to try my best to clock the turbo today and get it mounted in place. Then we can start on the exhaust. This is my front pipe, which will go to my factory overpipe because I don't have an aftermarket overpipe. It'll be okay. And then we can start fabricating the downpipe. Has to be modified right here because of this. This is not a 4-bolt flange on the turbo. The turbo actually uses a V-band. So we will have to chop that off. Okay, so I'm back today. I got the downpipe fitted in last night. My camera died, unfortunately, while getting it in there. However, I do still need to fabricate it from here on forward because this has to be swapped out for a V-band ultimately. So today's plan, today's goal is to really, well, today I'm playing plumber. So we're gonna get started on this. We're gonna start with the charge piping, get the intercooler mocked up. I have no idea where all these pipes go, if I'm being 100% honest. Not a freaking clue. Got a lot to do and a little bit of time, as always. And we're gonna knock this thing out today. Okay, so change of plans to make this a more effective, efficient setup. I'm actually going to end up rerouting this hose instead of going up into here into the bottom of there. And it'll go down around the back of the motor and back to this little coolant hose back here. And then this side will just simply go to down there. That way we're bypassing the throttle body altogether. Yeah, and I don't even know if you guys can really see this. You'll just have to take my word for it. That hose runs all the way to right down here. Okay, so bad news, I just found out. Basically, I can't go down because the turbo flange is right here, and it's going to be blocking everything. It's going to be virtually pointless. I would have to go down and then come straight out, which there's no point in even doing that. And I'm just gonna run this downhill like so. I don't know which way I'm gonna go once I get down there, but we'll find out. Okay, so now that the hard part is done, I got all that out of the way. I can now get back to the intake piping, which I'd started on earlier. Stopped momentarily, but we're gonna get right back to it right here. FYI, don't forget your O-ring like I just did. We're gonna find out really quickly if this will still seal up, I guess. Aha. Hold on, something in right here. I have this long pipe, which is supposed to go obviously up into there, but it stops right here and it's welded right there. So I'm wondering if I'm supposed to just cut it right there. Hold on a second. Okay, so kind of an odd situation here because, well, as you can see, I'm probably gonna end up having to chop this on this side of the weld just so I can use that little weld as the bead or the lip for the hose clamp to grab onto. But I'm gonna double check over a few things first before I go and start chopping stuff up. But I'm fairly certain that it won't be a problem. At this point, I'm just gonna put this back on. Pretty sure I'll be able to get the downpipe in and out with this installed still. So. All right, y'all, don't forget your intake pipe. Don't be like me. Okay, so I thought about it. This part's not going to make it. That is though. Okay guys, we got the downpipe out. I think I'm going to start with just lopping this off. And probably have to cut somewhere between here and here. And then angle it as I need. And then put another angle for the V-band. At least that's the plan anyways. We'll see what happens because I've never actually done any sort of fabrication like this before. So I guess let me just go put it in the vise and we'll start cutting away. Okay, so that can't cut through that. I have some fantastic news. I went to dinner, I came back, and I am officially a fabricator, you guys. Look at this. Look at that. I just have to tack it. It is literally just resting there. It is bolted in down low. I'm holding it up with a box. No big deal. But I am freaking pumped about this because it is all the way in, all the way around. All I have to do is tack it where it is, where it sits, and then send it off to my boy to get welded. So let's go ahead and get the welder set up. We're gonna lay some tacks on here, and maybe I'll try doing it myself. I don't know. Let's go ahead and get to this.